Greg Peters. Back 25, 30 years ago, I flew this airplane, about 1,500 hours flying it in the Canadian military. This is the U.S. National Guard airplane, which is very similar to the ones we use. It's an air defense airplane. This actually was a sister squadron for the Comox Canadian base. Going around doing typically the front end, you're looking at the IRS system. The small ball is infrared search and track system for the airplane. These right here by where the S is are with this airplane has a nasty problem. It would pitch up, and those are the RLS probes. Redundant limiter system keeps it is an indicator if you've approached the angle of attack that gets it close to pitch up. So at that point, those are supposed to keep you from pitching the airplane up. Pedostatic is all on here. Make sure that there's nothing on there, and typically the static side is also on the side of it, and the radome, checking it out. Can't go on the other side, but the other side has more of the information that's better. Notice the RLS has got one on each side. The weapons bay, on that side has a door. You can open and turn it so that it's in the normal position where it's being flown with the infrared missiles. The two Genie missiles are always kept internally in the weapons bay. This particular airplane is a single splitter. The engine intakes, some of the airplanes had two splits and some had single splits, and we had a mixed bag. They were all called the same. They didn't make any difference to the flying characteristics of the airplane. The drop tanks, if I remember, were 3,000 pound of fuel drop tanks. You notice they're conformal inside. I had one time where I would like to have dropped them off, except that I had a hydraulic problem and I thought it would take out the landing gear and the flaps, so I didn't drop the tanks, and I came around with everything hanging. Otherwise, yeah, it's more interesting on the other side. The tires on these things, the airplane landed at 175 knots plus fuel. And that particular time I was telling you where I couldn't drop the tanks, my minimum speed on approach was 225 knots. I couldn't even use the drag chute because it's only certified for 215 knots. So I put it on, waited 10 knots, and then put the drag chute out. Turned out 10,000 feet is more than enough room to stop it with the drag chute at that speed. So it's a really nice airplane. It didn't glide very well, but this is like a space shuttle. Its best lift over drag speed was 280 knots indicated. But overall, it was a hell of a fun thing to do, and I flew it for 5 years. Anything more?
How many hours do you have in it altogether?
Just under 1,500 hours.
Just under 1,500?
Had one other time where right at the end of the airplanes the squadron was at half strength, and about 6 months to go on the squadron. We had a problem right after takeoff, and my backseater used to be airborne, and he'd always wanted to use the ejection seat, so I had to come back around it all the way on downwind. He's going, "Greg, let's punch out. They won't miss the airplane at all. Nobody will care." I said, "But Mike, I know I can get the airplane on the ground and walk away. I'm not so sure about if I ended up parachuting out of these woods."